Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Complexx Conversations. I'm your host, the microphone messiah, the California Classic, the greatest sports recreational podcaster in the world today, Philip Antoine. You already know what this is about, man. I love having complex conversations. That's the why I named the show this. And this is a special one. This is the first ever girl to qualify for state at Mount Eden High School history. Michiko Yoshimitsu. Michi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, living life, styling and profiling as only I can do. So I mean, just how you been, man? I haven't seen you in a little bit.
Yes. I'm just working for now. I have 2 jobs, and then hopefully next month, I'll be doing a CNA program and then waiting for school to start.
All right, that's what's up. So I mean, the past couple episodes of Complexx Conversations, I've talked to both Sturholm's John and Justin, and then I talked to Rose about like coaching because we all have the one thing in common, wrestling. And then I was like, you know what? I want one of the former wrestlers on here, and I was like, who better than Michi?
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it. I mean, so Justin recruits you when you're in 8th grade. I mean, up until that point, did you ever think like you would get involved in wrestling? Was it something you watched? Was anybody in your family like a wrestler, or how did it all come about?
So in 8th grade, when Coach Sturholm was coaching me for softball, he had recruited me out to wrestling. Was like, hey, you're not afraid of the ball, like you have good posture, blah blah blah, like you can come out and you should come out and wrestle like next year. And I was like, no, like why would I want to get beat up for fun? Like there's no point in me getting beat up for fun. I did not know anything about wrestling until high school. And so funny thing is, I actually accidentally joined the team. It was not on purpose. I was walking by what is it, M Hall?
Yeah.
And so I was walking by there, and the door was open, and I saw everybody throwing everybody, like just everybody was throwing everybody, practicing throws. And I was like, that looks fun. So I walked in, and then he shows me how to throw somebody. I threw somebody, and that's how I joined. That's literally how I joined.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard that story. That's what's up. So I mean, like, girl wrestling, it's become more of a norm now in the last couple of years. I mean, like with you being a part of the program and whatnot. How did your family take to it?
My grandparents, well, my grandmother really did not want me to do it just because I've been hurt in other sports. So wrestling, is more physical. So she really was scared for me to join wrestling. But other than that, majority of my family was very supportive and saying like, hey, you should go out and do it. Nobody else is doing it. Why not?
That's what's up. I mean, you did attain some injuries in wrestling. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. But yeah, so Sturholm showed you how to throw somebody. That was your first instance on the mat. What was that like for you? Like your first practice. What was that like?
Very different from other practices that I've had. But I really like that everything was, of course, hands-on, just because it's wrestling. And it took me a while to learn a lot of things just because I don't have a very good memory, but it was very fun, very educational.
That's what's up. I mean, like when I first met you, I met you as a freshman. It was before I started coaching. I popped in here now, and I'm like, oh, they got a girl here? Because up until that point, like when I was there, we'd have girls come try it out for like a week or two and then dip, and like you stayed all 4 years.
Yes.
So, I mean, what was it like learning the moves? Was it hard for you? Did you kind of pick it up quickly, or was it you picked up some things quickly, other things took a little longer? How was that?
I definitely would say that throwing came easy to me. But like shooting, the first time that I actually took a shot was in my senior year. I didn't shoot at all. Everything was throws. So that's why I was throwing everybody anytime in every match. And that's literally how I would like always win is throws. And so my senior year, I got a little bit more uncomfortable and started practicing shooting more. And in tournaments, it would be more successful. So I really didn't shoot. So yes, throwing came easy. Everything else, not really.
I see. It's kind of like Tyner. Like he was a thrower, like all of his high
hmm
school career, and then his senior year, he just decided to start shooting, and it worked. It paid off. I remember a couple of your matches, you threw in some shots, you got in deep, you took them
hmm
down, and you got control. So I mean, throwing came easy to you. I know you were like a sagging head and arm. That was your go-to, correct?
Yeah.
Right. For sure, for sure, for sure. So, I mean, you played the power game a lot when you wrestled. I remember watching you. You had an interesting stance. You would always kind of like lean to your right. Now, was that just something you did? Was it kind of throw people off, or?
No, it was actually I don't know, like Sturholm didn't point it out to excuse me. I didn't realize it until Sturholm had pointed it out to me that I actually kind of like lean more to like left or right, mostly to the left. But that's just how I was more comfortable. Just because when somebody puts their hand on me, it's easy for me to throw them that way. So I guess that's just why.
So, I mean, did you want to be more of a technician when you started wrestling, or did you just be like, oh, I'll try to overpower people? Was that how that went down?
Because of my weight class, I was actually a lot more stronger than the girls at 121 and 126. So it was easy for me to overpower somebody rather than using technique. So I did rely a lot on my strength. Um, I did try to be more technical with just top bottom type of deal, and it's not that it didn't work out for me, but like I said, my muscle came more before technique.
Yeah, I mean, you would become a little bit more of a technician later on because Rose, he loves to have those practices where we
hmm
don't really wrestle live a lot. We just mainly focus on technique, which I mean, it
Yeah.
it, it paid off in the long run. You see where you ended up. You see where guys like Andres ended up at the state level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, with those practices, I mean, did you enjoy really focusing on technique? Because I mean, I know everybody just loves to wrestle live. Like if we could wrestle live all day long, that's what we would do. But that's just not the case. Kids are going to get banged up and injured, and we need you to be fully healthy for tournaments and duels and whatnot. So I mean, how did you take to those practices where it was just technique based?
I think it was a lot more difficult just because, like, with Sturholm's practice, it was more of like we go over the same stuff and we learn maybe one or two, maybe three new moves or whatever. And with Rose, it was like we learned this, 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 and this in a whole practice, and it's like I can't really retain that information until we keep going over it. But he always like had us do new things all the time, and not that it was a bad thing or anything, but it was just really hard for me because, like I said, I don't have a good memory.
Yeah, I mean, Rose was his main focus was really a lot of situational wrestling. Like
hmm
you have the leg, it's lifted slightly, now go. That's the kind of
Yeah.
stuff that Rose liked to do. You have the half, it's ran a quarter of the way, now go. Which I mean,
hmm
like I said, it did pay off. So let's get into that first match of yours. How did you feel? Like I don't even know if you did you win or lose. I have no idea.
No, my first tournament was with boys.
Okay.
I did not win my first match. I was very scared, especially my first match with wrestling a guy that's been wrestling for I don't know how long, and so of course they overpower me because they're just stronger than me. So um, very nerve wracking. It happened very fast. Yeah, there's not really much to it.
I mean, I mean, you progressed later on throughout that season. I mean, I know you said you had a bad memory, but looking back at like your freshman year, do you remember kind of coasting along and really starting to pick up wins or what?
Um, yes and no. Okay, so throughout like my freshman year of wrestling, it got easier for me to not be so not not that I wasn't scared, but not being so anxious about my match. And so like okay, so like I said, I used to throw a lot. I throw all the time. I threw everybody. And so when I would get comfortable with throwing one person, like in the beginning of a tournament, I'd be comfortable with throwing anybody in a tournament. Like I've like thrown many people on their backs that I shouldn't have, um, state placers, state champions, like things like that. Like I should not have thrown people that I've thrown. Um, and so I guess like, yes, it did. It was easier for me later on that my freshman year, just because I got more comfortable with throwing.
Okay. So, what about your sophomore year? I mean, as we know, the wrestling trajectory. First year, you get your ass kicked. That's just the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Second year, you become a little bit more comfortable. You pick up a win or two here and there. Third year, you just start dogging people. Fourth year, you're a beast. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, that sophomore year of wrestling, how was that?
um, I would say that I did start working more on technique. Um, like my freshman year, my one move from bottom was just put my hands out. Like that was it. Just put my hands out, Sophomore year is more of like sitting out, turning in, things like that, switching, got more technical on bottom top. I don't think that I would say I was more technical from neutral just because, I still was doing throws the whole time. Didn't do really much of anything else. Headlocks, that was really it.
I see. Uh-huh. So as we fast forward to your junior year, record of 33-9. That's pretty damn impressive. That's pretty damn impressive. You place in NCS. You're the first girl in the history of Mount Eden to go to state. The last person to go to state with was Andres, and that was what
Mhm.
2015. So junior year was at 20 what 18?
2018,
Yeah,
2017.
2018. Yeah. So there's a nice little gap there. You make history. So what's going on in your mind once like you realize I'm going to state?
I was just really excited, really, really excited. I'd even jumped into Sir Holmes' arms. I was so happy, like, because at that point it was the top three who made it to state, and then my senior year was the top four, but my junior year was the top three. So I was wrestling for third, and it was a win or lose. You either go to state or you don't. So after my match, I was just like so stunned that I had won my match and I'm going to state. I'm moving on, and it was just different, like I won. I'm going to state. I'm doing something that no other female has done in my school. You know what I mean? Um, it felt good.
Yeah, man. I remember being in the other coach's chair. I was the videographer. I let Justin do all the work, and I haven't seen him that happy since what John took first at El Camino back in our day. I haven't seen that dude that happy since. So I mean, I remember that. I remember feeling like she did it because like it wasn't just a win for you. Like it was a win for all of us. Like
Yes.
the coach's staff and the team and the school. I mean, so how'd your family react?
They knew I could do it. They told me, they're like, yeah, I know you're gonna do it. You're gonna bust your ass. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do great. Um, Going to state was very nerve wracking just because it's like, state is like the champions of champions. So I'm gonna be up there with everybody else, not knowing who I'm gonna have, who I'm gonna be wrestling with. My family was very supportive, very, very supportive. They came down to state with me, watched me wrestle, and unfortunately, I had gotten hurt my second match, I believe. Yeah, my second match, and I wasn't able to move on in state. But I really did have a lot of support with me. My family came coming, and friends always saying like, "Congratulations," good luck, and so yeah, I had a lot of support, a lot of love.
Yeah, I was looking back at the article I wrote about you during that time period, and you said for state your stress level was at an 8. Why not a 10? There was some level of you were semi calm. What happened? What was going on?
Um, just because I got there, so I know that I can do more. Um, I wasn't as like anxious or nervous or scared or anything like that, just because, I mean, of course I was, but not at a 10 because I'm there for a reason. I'm there because I can do damage there. Um, And unfortunately, because I got hurt, I wasn't able to move on in place or anything like that, or even see if I could do that. But I wasn't I wasn't too worried, you know. I'm there for a reason.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Absolutely. So we go to your senior year. We start to get some more girls in the
Yeah.
in the room. We get Ellie. We get Mimi. I think Hannah was there too. So what was that like to have other girls in the room with you?
Different. Very, very different. So, okay, so my junior year, we had a Mary Cruz. Mary Cruz was a fucking beast.
She
And
was.
but she was focused. She was focused. She was not like the girls that we had on her my senior year. So when I had like an actual team of girls, not just myself and Mary Cruz, it was myself, Ellie, everybody else. And very different. Not that I'm trying to hate on them, but I didn't feel as focused at all because I knew that I had my girlfriends there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, Justin Rose and I, we talked about that. We could see that the focus wasn't really there, and like this is senior year, we're trying to get back to where we were and possibly achieve even more. And
Hmm.
like it's not a knock to Mimi or Ellie. Like I love those girls to death, but it's just the
Hmm.
maturity and the seriousness wasn't really there. I mean, it got there for them the next year.
Yes.
Absolutely, but if they had that kind of mentality back when you were a senior, I think things would have been a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I
Most
mean,
definitely.
but I mean, it was fun. It was a fun ride. So we get to your senior year. I have down here your record is 13-6. That sound about right because you got injured pretty early.
Yeah. I was out for, I believe, 2 months or a month and a half, something like that.
Yeah, because we were in Rockland, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I forget that tournament. I forget what the name of it was. But you hurt your shoulder pretty bad, and I know Justin had to take you to a doctor out there.
I think it was WOTC,
Yeah, yeah, that's what it
something
was.
like that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So after that, I had to go to the ER because my hand I would not be able, I couldn't feel my hand. My hand became numb. My shoulder was like turning white and like had spots in my left arm. And then my other hand not. I was swelling up. Um, it hurt to like move my shoulders, to move my arm at all. So um, at that tournament, I couldn't continue either. So I had to go to the ER. And after that, I wasn't wrestling until league.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in that match where you got injured, do you know at that point in time like okay, I'm hurt? Do you remember what happened to where you got hurt?
I believe it was a chicken wing. I
Yeah,
believe it was a chicken wing.
I think it was. And like, like what exactly what was the name of the injury? Like, what exactly was it?
They didn't know. They didn't know at all. They took X-rays, and I believe an MRI, and they didn't find anything wrong with it.
Really?
Yeah, which
That's
really sucked because I was really hurting, and they couldn't find anything about it. So it's like I can't. I don't know anything to help it out besides like rehab, and um, I really didn't have any hope trying to find out like what was wrong with me.
that's different. I thought they knew what exactly was going on. I mean, when somebody's arm turns like white with spots and you can't feel their hand, like it has to be like some sort of nerve damage, I would assume.
That's what they thought. They thought it was a pinched nerve, and then she like the trainer at that tournament had did something and pulled on my arm, and my hand started becoming like fine, and so I walked off, and then maybe like 10-15 minutes later, the same thing happened. So she was like, "Well, if it's a pinched nerve, it wouldn't have came back." So that's when we went to the ER.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you were off for a couple months. You gained a little bit of weight back. When you're just
Yeah.
not really doing much. So I mean, you wrestle at league. How was that coming back? And I know the nerves had to be up there.
um, Coming back. Okay, so from that time of getting hurt at that tournament all the way up until league, I was not motivated at all. I was supposed to be on the elliptical because I wasn't supposed to run because it could hurt my shoulder, blah blah blah. And so I was supposed to be on the elliptical on the bike, and I wasn't. I was very unmotivated. I was saying like in my head, I was like, if I'm gonna get hurt again, what's the point in me trying to wrestle? If I'm gonna get hurt again, why should I be trying to work out? I was very discouraged, not in the right mindset. And so I at the last and I didn't even show up to practice ever. I didn't go to practice for technique. I didn't go to practice to watch. I didn't go to practice for anything. That's how unmotivated I was.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember pulling you aside and like, hey, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, you one of the best in the room. Oh, and so I didn't realize it was that deep. That psyche of like I may not be even able to uh wrestle at league. So what's the point of even doing this?
Exactly. Um, but coming back, I had to, like, of course, gain weight, but I had to cut, I think it was somewhere around 25 pounds in 2 weeks. And so because I wasn't working out at all.
It was all those IHOP trips.
Yes. All into Denny's. Oh gosh. But yeah, so coming back was hard, very difficult. I was working out 4 times a day just so I can get my weight down so I can wrestle at league. Even though league was not mandatory for us to move on to NCS, it would have really helped me get back into it before NCS. Um, it was very difficult coming back, trying to be, trying to get my motivation back, trying to get back into the groove of working out, things like that, having to deal with my negative attitude, anything like that. But Mimi and Ellie and you actually did help me out a lot through that 2 months of not wanting to wrestle anymore. You guys were there for me after practice to talk to me, and even when I came back, it was like I still had you guys. You guys were there for me the whole time, and that's what I needed. But yeah, it was very difficult coming back
Yeah,
for
man. I
sure.
mean, I've always looked at it like I'm not just there to like yell a move and teach you how to do something. Like if you need to chop it up and talk about some real shit, I'm here. Like let's do it. I think I remember telling you like, hey, like you have a big match feel to you. You're special. You were born to do this shit. Let's go.
Yes.
So I mean, you come back at league, you wrestle, you feel a little comfortable. I know there was a slight problem with the shoulder, and then we get to NCS, and you get hurt again, and you forfeit the match. But at that point in time, it's top four go to state, so you forfeit, you
Hmm.
take fourth, and we're gone. We're going again.
Yep.
Different feeling, it wasn't we didn't get a pin to go there, but hey, we're still going. I remember that was my first trip up to Bakersfield. So how do you feel about like okay, I'm going again, this time under different circumstances?
um, because when it came to NCS, I honestly did not know if I was gonna make it to state again. Just because of my attitude, like I said, and because of my shoulder. But when I did qualify for state again, and being there at state, really made me realize that I wasted a lot of time just sitting on my ass, not doing anything. I lost matches that I shouldn't have lost. I definitely believe that I could have placed my senior year. Um, and I didn't because I wasn't there. I wasn't there my senior year, and you get what you put in. So I didn't get to place. But it really sucked not being able to wrestle at my full potential. Definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always wondered this. You used to do the mixed max wrestling shoes a lot. What was that? Just something you
Yes.
thought like I'm gonna be different? This looks cool. Was that it?
No, okay. So my freshman year, one of my really close friends from Hayward High was a senior, and we would hang out like after the season or after whatever. Like we would just hang out, and uh, at the end of our season, um, I had told her like, hey, like I have a crush on you, and she actually told me that she liked me too. And so at the end of our season, we had switched shoes just so that like we can remember our friendship, because we were very close. Like I was very close with her family. We would always hang out, blah, blah, blah. I met a lot of her friends. And so we were never in a relationship, but we were just really good friends.
Oh wow, okay. I never knew that story.
Yeah.
So I mean, after high school, you graduate and you go on to wrestle in college. What college did you go to again? And where was that at?
Presbyterian in South Carolina.
Okay, you wrestled there for what, like a season?
Yeah. Well, not even a season, really. It was a
Okay,
couple matches.
yeah. So I mean, how was that experience? Going from the high school style to the college style.
I really don't like freestyle. It's not. I'm not very fond of it. Just because I have more control in folk style, so it's easier for me to wrestle. You know what I mean? But the school was great. I absolutely loved the school. Um, the coach was not a good coach. He actually really made me dislike wrestling because of how his coaching was. Um, yeah, he just was not a good coach at all for any of us.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay. It was a culture shock going from what Rose, Justin, and I do to going to some random jabron in some state.
Yes, I know. And I was telling Sir Home, I was like, hey, they're looking for a woman's coach.
Sturhole, make the commute real quick.
Yeah, right, right.
I see. So I asked you this when I wrote that article about you after your senior year, and you've had some time to marinate about it. Now it's been a couple years. What do you, when you look back at your time at Mount Eden, what do you think your legacy is?
In wrestling or just as a whole?
Both.
Mm, I think for wrestling, I feel like I left with like, hey, just because you're a female does not mean that you can't be doing things that men are doing. And a lot of females think that because a guy is doing it, that maybe I can't do it. And that's not the case. All my wrestling partners were males up until my senior year. I didn't have people um, that had the same mindset as me um, to wrestle with, and so I think that for wrestling, um, I would say that you can do that if you really put your mind to it. You can do anything that you want to do, whether it's with school, athletics, something other than. Um, you can definitely do anything that you put your mind to, but you have to be motivated to do it.
Yeah, looking back at it, I think wrestling Darren, Eric, and Christian, I think that helped you in the
Hmm.
long run, hands down. Speaking of the legacy, I went back to the second article I wrote about you, and I'm going to read you what Justin's quote was. And he said, her legacy will never be duplicated. No one else can ever be the first girls' state qualifier in the history of the school. Now, first back to back qualifier. She brought recognition to a program that was virtually non existent when she started to a team that finished the season with five girls. She should continue to grow due to her accolades. The team should continue to grow due to your accolades. I mean, hey,
Hmm.
you kind of set the bar, and then, like postseason after you, we got a couple other girls that popped in there, some new faces, and so, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of set the bar, you know.
Good. I know when I heard that that there was other girls trying out for the team, like my friends, after my senior year, I was really shocked because the girls that were interested in wrestling, I would have never thought would have been interested in wrestling ever.
Whenever we get a new girl, we're like, hey, but we name drop you. We're like, hey, Michi used to wrestle here. She went to state. That could be you. Do you want to?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. I mean, just great accomplishments. I mean, like whenever we redo the Wall of Fame, your name's going up there two times.
yeah.
So I mean, just looking back at it, I mean, what was your favorite move?
Sagging head and arm,
For
most
sure.
definitely, hands down.
For sure. Favorite opponent? 'Cause you had a couple. You had a couple really good
Favorite
ones.
opponent? Um, I don't know. I did have, okay, not my favorite, but people that I had a very difficult time wrestling that I really wanted to beat, but I just couldn't because I don't know. I think it was might have been my work ethics or just I didn't put enough work in or whatnot, but um
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. That's my next question. Most difficult opponent, Amanda Decker.
yes. Amanda and Mary.
Okay, I see. I see. Where to Mary? What school was she? Where's she wrestle from?
She was from Liberty.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
Liberty. They have a great program over there. They kill it.
Yeah, they do.
All right, and then this probably going to be the most difficult question. Favorite match you've ever had?
What was her name? My favorite match. I don't remember her name, but Sarah might remember her name. But it was she was I think a state champ, and I believe it was her senior year, my junior year. I'm not sure where that match was held, but I had oh, it was at Napa. Um, she was from Upper Lake. I don't remember her name, but she was from Upper Lake. And wrestling her was really fun. Um, she gave me a hard time, but I was able to move with her. Um, I don't know, like I don't know if it was just the whole match itself, or if it was just the way that we were both moving together. But um, most definitely, I would say that that match from Napa was my favorite, just because she gave me a hard time. I was learning new things from her, um, and she wasn't she wasn't mean. Like how do you say it? She's a mean wrestler, but she's not mean in her heart. Just because I had talked to her before our match and after our match, and she was like giving me pointers on for college and whatnot, and I think that I would say that was my favorite match.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people who are absolute sweethearts off the mat, but when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yes.
Man, I forgot. I forgot we used to do those Napa trips. So, what do you remember about those? I mean, those were fun.
Napa?
Yeah,
No. Napa. It was definitely too big of a tournament for that small place.
yeah,
I think there was what 3 rooms that they had of max, 3 different
yeah,
rooms, I think.
yeah.
And that really stuck going back and forth, blah blah. But um, Napa was good because Sturholm basically said that whatever you place at Napa is basically what you're going to place at NCS. It's a placeholder, basically.
Yeah, that's what's up. Now, what do you miss most about wrestling in high school? I mean, we have a family atmosphere at Mount Eden, and it's cool that as people move on with their lives and graduate, they can come back and dip their toes back in and help the next generation of talent,
Mm-hmm.
elevate them. That's what it's all about. It's a cycle. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I used to wrestle there. Now I'm in a coaching role. Hell, you and Sturholm could be tag team in the girls program at some point in time. We don't know.
I know. Sturholm, where you at?
So what do you miss most about wrestling in high school?
um, honestly, honestly, the practices. Just because um, more towards like my junior senior year, because like my freshman sophomore year, I was more like, oh, I'm doing this for fun, and then junior senior year is more of like, oh, let me like actually do good, more motivated. But definitely the practices because my junior year, I would push myself so hard to the point where I would break down at practice. I would sit there and I would cry and I would just keep going. And it's like, not that I would want to pass out, but I'm working so hard that I am going to pass out or I am going to throw up or I am going to do this, do that. But it felt good knowing that I could push myself that far. You know what I mean? Mentally and physically. Because before that, my like I said, my freshman and sophomore year, if I were to have felt like that, oh, I'm gonna pass out, oh, I'm gonna feel sick, I would stop. And then my junior, senior year, it's like I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. How far can I go? Push yourself, push yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, those practices were fun, especially the winter practices
Oh
where
my gosh.
the wall game.
Right? Oh, I missed that
Oh my
game.
God, especially when we used to partner up with San Lorenzo, we would all just be stupid.
Oh
Oh
my gosh.
man. Oh God, I miss those times. I need
Or when all the alumni would come back and we would all split up in teams.
Bro, oh my God, yeah,
That was fun.
those were some fun times. I mean, you're not in college anymore at the moment. You're living in Texas, right? Dallas, right?
No, Uvalde.
Uvalde. Oh, okay, for sure. So what's life like now? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Well, right now, like I said, I have those two jobs, working at Dairy Queen, and then we have an online job. And then the high school wrestling season just ended, so I'm not going to practice anymore. I was there to be a practice partner for my girlfriend's little brother. Um, so I was doing that for a while until his season had ended just this past weekend, I believe. Um, and so now I'm just working and waiting for summer school to start so I can hop back into the groove and get back into school,
Yeah.
finish what I've started.
What so what were you trying to get a degree in? What did you want to be? I don't think we've ever
Well,
talked about this.
no, we haven't. But now my goal is to uh become a firefighter. So right now at the JC that I'm going to be going to, I'm going to do an EMT class, and then after that, after I graduate from there, hopefully I'll be going to a school in San Antonio to become a firefighter. And so I've already talked to one of the chiefs in San Antonio, and I've talked to um, the person, the head, what is it? The
The
person in charge of the EMT classes.
Okay, for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know what they're called, but yes, I've talked to both of them already. And so that's my plan.
That's what's up. Now you said you got two jobs working at a Dairy Queen making vanilla cones and whatnot, and then
Yeah.
yeah you work for an online company, a beauty hair care product line, right? Tell us about that. What
Yeah,
is
so
it?
it's
What do they do?
so we're the number one luxury hair care and skincare in the world. Um all of our products are vegan, non-cruelty free. And the reason why our products are the best, basically, is because um, the oil that we have in all of our products penetrates through all three layers of your hair and skin. And other products don't do that. Like Head and Shoulders, like I used to use Head and Shoulders all the time, or Dove. They just sit on the first layer of your hair, and they don't work from the inside out like ours does. So it's been 6 years, I believe, since they started Modern Nature, and they're already $1 billion company.
Wow,
So
how'd you get involved with that? I've been seeing it on Instagram. How'd you get involved with that?
yeah, my upline Mika, I actually was looking through her story, and at this point, I didn't have a job. I was actually jobless for 3 months because nobody in the town that I'm at was hiring because of COVID, and so I was like looking through her Instagram, and she was making money online. So it's not like I have to go anywhere. I don't have to be anywhere at a specific time or anything like that. So I work whenever I want. I make my own schedule. I work whenever I want, however long I want, and the effort that I put in, I get back out. And so I had voted on one of her polls, and she had DM'd me, and that's how I got started.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked in quite some time. What were you doing during the height and bulk of the pandemic? What was going on?
At first, when everything had first gone down, we were in spring break for my college, and so since we couldn't go back to college, we were living in Tennessee, and then we moved from Tennessee to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina we went to Texas, and then from Texas we had to drive all the way back to South Carolina to pick up our dorm stuff, and came back to Texas, and then from Texas to California, and then back to Texas.
Wow, it's kind of a journeywoman.
So a lot of moving around. Yes.
That's what's up. So I mean, this has been fun. Thank you so much for doing this. I miss having you around. You were. I feel like we developed a pretty cool friendship. You know, I appreciate all
Yeah.
the rides to practice because I was slumming it. But thank you so much for what you did for the program and everything. Like I don't just love the wrestler you became. I love the young woman you've become.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Justin and I were working on Rose to host a tournament of some sorts. Let's make it a girls' tournament.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
the Michiko Yoshimitsu Invitational. Let's make it happen.
Let's go.
Get you there to cut the ribbon and all of that. Michi, thank you so much. Let people know where they can find you. Let people know where they can find your hair care line.
You guys could follow me on Instagram at Michiko Mitsu, so MICHIKO.MITSU.
Go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Michiko Yoshimitsu. Stay clean, stay strong, stay safe, stay quarantined, get vaccinated. It's important. Let's get back to normal life. Diamonds are forever. So is the microphone messiah. Aye, aye.
Six.